The end of the film was very confusing for everybody because, from memory, again, it did seem that we were going to finish the film, we were going to conclude everything, and then it got to the point where it seemed that wasn't going to be the case. So then we ended up having to decide, at what point do you say goodbye?
As we said, Saturday we'll probably be coming back, and then yesterday I heard they're going to finish it. That's the game. I want to see how they're going to do it.
It was unclear how we were going to end the shoot. And I think the deal was that we had to get back, we had to get out of London. It was like a hemorrhage situation. We were doing very small things with a huge, it was like, I think the idea was that we had to stop. We didn't wrap the film. We stopped shooting.
I think we all recognized that we had holes in the movie that we needed to fill. Again, because we did not have a script going into the movie. And rather than staying in England and continuing to try and fill those holes, the studio made a decision to bring the production back to LA, take a period of time off where you can assess what is needed and go back and more surgically fix those holes. No one left England thinking that the movie was finished. We left England knowing that we had more work to do and that we were going to give David an opportunity to edit the movie, look at the movie, and determine what he needed.
They said to me, would you mind coming to the States to finish the cut now? And it would take 6 months. I said, fine, no. So we get there, and of course we haven't completed the shooting. So the first thing to do is to get the film all together and let the studio see it.
So sure enough, the movie goes way over. He comes in, he shows us a 3-hour version of the movie, which doesn't play very well. And now a vast, reshoot, redo, and cutting process goes on.
When I got to Fox in Los Angeles, they ran the film for the American crew that were going to do this extra shooting. And I was in the theatre with them, because that was then the first time I'd seen an assembly myself. And when the lights went up, there was, quite a bit of silence. Nobody actually said anything.
I saw the rough cut of the film, uncut. And there were some scenes in there that were pretty gross. There was an autopsy scene on the girl that I like certain gore in films, I do it, and it made me sick. It really grossed me out, and I remember that people got up and left, walked out of the theater at the time, and I was just thinking, this will never be in the film. They can't show this stuff. It was just too much, I thought. And when the film came out, it wasn't in the film.
The dog burst was, that was quite gory. I remember when the first cut on that.
That's back
when
from
he
our
was
animals
sitting there
now.
shaking. That was like the Rottweiler or whatever. I can't remember.
Yeah, Rottweiler.
Rottweiler was shaking and doing all that. And we actually had a thing come out and flop on the floor. And man, we went nuts on that sound. And it was everybody went, whoa, this might be too much for people, so they cut it way back.
We went into it knowing that we were looking at a work in progress. It was almost like a live reading of a book where you get the audience's reaction to know. So we went through that and we got the answers we needed.
So David and I said, well, what we needed, say, A, B, C, D, E, and F, these particular things, and then we'd have a meeting. They'd have these endless meetings to discuss what we should do. And then they would say, fine, we've now decided you can do A, E, and F, or something, missing all the rest out. We said, well, it really won't work, but no, we do that. So we do that, put them in, show again, and they realised what was missing was needed. That's the reason this thing got held up all the time, because the decisions were slow in being made, and then when it came down to the editing process, we had all these arguments.
They ended up shooting 6 more weeks, or 5, they shot a lot more, so it wasn't like they didn't give them a chance to ever do anything else,
It did take a long time to set up. They did take some months to set up this, the additional shooting. And I do know that it was problematical because, Ripley had a shaved head, and that was hard. She didn't want to shave her head again.
She didn't like having to have her hair cut off like that because it took so long to grow back. And she had an agreement with the producers that she had to have her hair cut off again like that, she would get a $40,000 bonus. And the producers, oh, we're sure of it. We know what we're going to shoot, all of this. Well, they ended up changing things, and sometime later, Sigourney had to come back, and we did this shot. And instead of putting that much money into a bonus for her, I think for about $16,000, they had a beautifully handmade scalp piece that had all these very short little hairs in it. So it looked like she had been shaved, but her hair had been growing out a little bit during this time.
Shaving somebody's head and putting a bald cap on is one thing, and it's very hard to do on a woman to begin with. But to have stubble embedded into the bald cap, I don't think it had ever been done. I flew to New York, took a head cast of Sigourney. We made a foam bald cap, and then a friend of mine, Stuart Artingstall, punched every hair into the head. He worked about a week on it, 8 days, I think, the first time. 12 hours a day, just punching hair into this head. Then trying to get the bald cap on was in itself the most difficult makeup I've ever done in my life, because with the hair punched in, it had a preordained hairline in it. So if you moved it a 1/16 of an inch in any direction, it completely threw off the hairline. Trying to get that down, and then trying to get it, because foam would stretch, and trying to get it around the ears right and everything, it just was a nightmare. And to everyone's amazement, it worked. She shot the scenes. I remember when I saw the film, I couldn't tell.
Ripley! It's burning hot! Hit the sprinklers! Gas the fucker!
I told him at the time, I'll never do this again. I'm glad you got the shot, you know, I'm glad it worked. I'll never do it again. So another month goes by. I get a phone call. Oh, we're shooting a whole new ending to the film.
We had a big fight about the ending, too, of Alien 3. This thing where Sigourney goes into the fire, struggling with the beast, the chest burster, was a real last-minute thing.
The ideas about how the movie was actually going to end had been up in the air and moving back and forth, and we kept getting different boards and hearing different stories about whether the chest burster was going to come out while she was up on top and she would grab it and take it and go over the edge, or whether she was even going to go over the edge or not.
I thought that if we went out, we sent her off with a kind of real signature, alien signature, pregnant with this thing, struggling with it as she takes it to its death, that would be fairly strong. And then there was a whole big quandary, because we'd heard that the Terminator ended with the guy falling into the lead, same sort of deal. We thought, oh God, oh no. So that's when we thought, well, if she goes out struggling with it, that's so alien that no one's ever going to accuse us of, because the Terminator 2 hadn't come out yet, but we'd heard that it had this thing in it.
The penis that popped out of her stomach,
Right,
it's like,
that's-
what,
yeah.
it was, we got some laughs out of it, but again, we're not the writers, we're asked to do something, and
That one thing that bothered me, is I still don't like the optical effect of her falling in
the fire.
the fire. To me, it just didn't work when she does her backflip.
My feeling for that was, it was
Yeah.
a rush to finish, and
Yeah.
I felt they were shortchanging themselves. I don't think the final visual of that was
Was
anywhere
ready.
near what it could have been.
They wanted to shorten the movie. I take a half hour out of the movie. I think it had to do with how many times they show it in theaters, so how much popcorn they sell and all that kind of stuff. And I think they were afraid of Fincher's yearning to have the movie be on other levels other than just the fear level and the action level. What David was after was something that was very significant, in the sense that when there's no meaning and there's no spiritualism, and you know that the odds are stacked against you, how do you cope in that environment? And the studio was afraid of it.
We were, just over a year in editing, weren't we? I mean, that's it was long time. That was from after we'd got the film cut, assembled. We were a year. So it was a long time, that picture. And the thing is, and when it came out, it didn't have what it should have had in it, which was a shame, because all that effort was wasted because of bad decisions.
I know David did have to scale back his vision for budget reasons, and I know that there was more on the surface of the planet planned.
Okay, let's get stunt Ripley in here. Okay, watch behind you guys. Bringing in Mr. Lincoln.
The EEV was something that had already been designed, and in fact, they had built a full-size one in England that they were going to be, for one part of it, dragging up the beach. And there was an establishing shot where these oxen were pulling it up the beach from the water. I believe that never made it into the film.
I think it made a major difference to me, because the thing is, the beach scene set up these inmates and set up the environment, and the fact that the doctor was a loner. He was there on it. All those things were very important, and the fact that you saw the way they worked, and it was very sort of barren, and it was like it was just these odd moments they could get outside, and that they used like Stone Age type gear. All those scenes at the front were invaluable to the film. To see her brought into the place, you saw what it was like. You saw all these bugs and all this other stuff that was. It just set the whole place up and what it was, and we never had that.
You know, I think that there are several sequences that were filmed, as they are on any movie, that don't make it into the final product of the film. I think one major sequence was a sequence where they actually captured the alien in a room, and it was for one of the prisoners to go down and let the alien out and free the alien. And it was shot, and it worked great.
Catching it and letting it go. I mean, I can't tell you to this day why that edict came down, that we got to lose it, because we fought for it endlessly.
In the context of the whole of the movie, when you take this mythic creature and you're able to contain it, it loses some of its threat.
Having caught that alien when they did catch it made all the next half of the film more powerful, because you knew it was going to come out, but you didn't know when. It was the same, it's the whole logic with the alien thing. You never know when things are going to happen. And then losing this Gallic character, letting it out, it was mindless.
The Gallic character in the movie was much more important because he associated himself with the alien as almost a fiery angel of death.
They wanted Gallic, you know, first of all to wig out, strike somebody, then he breaks out of this hospital, runs amok, goes to find the monster, who by this point is trapped. You know, they've incarcerated this monster, and he's meant to release this monster, team up with the thing, and go and kill Ripley. Fantastic! I'll take the part. Most of that stuff has disappeared, I think. You know, I've had friends say, in fact, we saw you in one scene and then you kind of disappear. You know, nobody knows quite where you disappear to, which is a bit of a mistake.